Okay, so this is lesson 16. Students are still doing their country study. So this builds off the homework tasks that students have done. So they've looked at the Wontoks and the Big Men. They've done that activity last lesson where they plotted out the changes that have happened to do with power and authority over time. And that was Papua New Guinea as a whole. And they've also done some readings from the Papua New Guinea Power and Authority reader for homework from last lesson. So what we want to do now is look more closely at the micro, meso and macro levels. So what we did last lesson was basically just looked at how Papua New Guinea has moved from one point to the other over time. So that sort of had a macro focus. So the first thing we want to do is narrative style, tell the story on a meso and micro level. And probably the easiest way to do that is to relate back to the videos and stories that we've seen in previous lessons about people and how they're going in Papua New Guinea. So then what we're going to do is make some sort of diagrammatic representation of that. So that is going to provide us with land links potentially. It's certainly non-linear. It is a deconstruct, reconstruct mode because we're starting with the big picture, breaking it into its parts and then putting it back together again, and it is using symbols and images to represent ideas. So there's lots of different ways that the students could represent time on all three levels and change in power and authority. It could be a linear model with three lines that intersect when things happen. It could be a sort of spiral shaped model. It could be some sort of tree with different branches coming out. It doesn't really matter how they choose to represent the concepts. What matters is that they've grasped the content and can reproduce something based on what they know. So being able to reproduce some sorts of symbols and images to represent these complex concepts of power and authority and continuity and change on the micro, meso, macro level in Papua New Guinea over time is a very complex task, and it really requires higher order thinking and metacognition. We're working in the top level of Bloom's here, and this lesson really does bring together all the information that students have learnt over the course of the country study thus far. So we started that country study in lesson 13, so this is now lesson 16. So everything that they've done from level 13 onwards will come together now in this lesson, and that includes all the research and homework tasks that have been set. And it really is a culmination of what students have learnt so far. It is a complex task, but hopefully it will help to attach visual symbols and images and land links to content, and therefore make it more retainable in the memory. Thanks.